Let's do that. All right. Well, welcome, ladies and gentlemen. This is your very first episode of Travel Talk and Show Jams with yours truly. I'm super excited about this tonight. First and foremost, it is our very first episode, and many episodes to come with a lot of great people that we'll have down the line. But I'm super excited about our very first guest, very special one, not just because she's our first guest, but because some of the incredible things that she is doing in the community. I don't want to steal her thunder as far as sharing her background and everything, but I got to give her her flowers because she's such a humble giant and she's not going to really toot her horn too much. But she's doing some incredible things in the community, both for children and adults. She is out of the Southern Maryland area by way of the Big Apple, New York, New York. I let her boast about whatever borough that might be. But
Oh,
she's a government worker by contract. She's a certified life coach. And I know she's doing some big things on a corporate level. I'm not, she might be too big for the personal level, but I know she's doing some big things on the corporate side as well. And like I said, she's doing some incredible things in the community, and we'll talk a little bit about that. But as far as this travel business ownership opportunity, she's already positioned herself in a few short months where she's earning income on both sides. She's had some success with booking travel. She's also had some success in starting to build her team, and she's a stone's throw away from that first corporate position of bronze builder. She might be a bronze by the time we finish this interview tonight. Who knows? uh, so, but without any further ado, I want to bring to the front, ladies and gentlemen, my good friend, my partner, Miss Latalya Palmer. How are you doing this evening, ma'am?
hey, I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me. I'm very excited to be a part of this series. I love what you're doing, and you brought me into this business. And so I'm just super excited to be here, have the opportunity to share.
I mean, girl, it is my pleasure. Like I said, if they know what I know, they would pull their seats up close to the table, lick the tip of their pencil and grab a notepad, because
We
just to
about to have
hear
a good time. That's right.
just to hear what you got to say. So but just getting started. I mean, tell us a little bit about, where you from.
Okay.
I gave you the high level of what you do, but tell us a little bit about what you do and what's been going on with that lately.
Absolutely. So I want to just double back a little bit. So I'm from Brooklyn, New York. you know
Brooklyn in the
and so
house. Okay.
Brooklyn is always in the building, and I always have to represent, but I do now live in Maryland. I've been in Maryland since about 2005. um Came here, moved to Greenbelt, Maryland. I absolutely loved Greenbelt, and then came on over to the Southern Maryland side. So I'm over in Bryan's Road, which is quite different from Brooklyn, but I'm enjoying the space, the peace, and just gives me an opportunity to experience another or a different quality of life. So I love it. So okay. So I'd like to start from kind of like where I've come from and where I am now. Growing up in Brooklyn, I've lived all over. Grew up between Clinton Hills, Bed-Stuy, and then Bushwick. When I left New York, I was in Crown Heights. And so, and in between there, I think I lived in East New York. I lived in Brownsville. And so got
Oh,
to,
Mike Tyson.
what you say?
So up there with Mike Tyson.
Uh-huh, uh-huh. Yeah, his projects, I think he was Tilden Projects. I was over in Brownsville houses, so we weren't far from each other, probably different time periods as well. But yeah, same area. And coming out of New York, coming out of Brooklyn, it was rough. It was a concrete type life. And when I was 18 on my 18th birthday, or right after my 18th birthday, I went down to the public assistance, or what they call the welfare office, with my mom. And she said, "Hey, here's my case manager, you know? And so, coming from that space where I totally relied on a system to take care of me, I had no conception of what financial independence was, or what it was to live without food stamps or furniture money. When you get ready to move, they give you the furniture money. Um, but a few years after that, I came through the office with my daughter. My daughter was about a year old at that time, and they wanted to come and inspect my house where I lived with my mom because they felt like, if you're on public assistance, her father's name shouldn't be on her birth certificate, right? And I'm like, what? What do you mean? And so their position was that if I was to receive assistance and support, she was not to have a father figure in her life,
Wow.
or helping to take care of her. And they wanted to come, they wanted to inspect my mother's home to make sure I lived there. And so I didn't know, what they would do as a result of her father being in her life. And so I walked away. They told me to go upstairs, get the token so that I can get back home. I didn't go get the token. I left and I didn't turn back. And I worked in a factory. I've done just about everything that I could do to maintain and support myself. And so fast forward, you know, I found a way to make it in this world where I didn't have a degree. I didn't get my degree until I was 40.
Wow.
And I landed, I'm a trainer. One of my first careers is in training. And so I trained human service divisions, directors, frontline workers, and everything. And then when I moved to the DC area, I got a contract doing the same work. That ended, and I fell into procurement. And so I knew nothing about putting together contracts. I used to receive contracts. That's all I knew. And, but it turned into a 20-year career. Turned into a 20-year career where I built myself up from like a GS 7 all the way up to a 15, becoming a chief contracting officer for a human services cluster in DC government. So I left that position last year, had some challenges there that had to do with my son. And I made up my mind at that point that if I was going to commit, dig in, give my life to something, it was going to be something that I was building for myself, for my family, and for the benefit of the larger society. And don't get me wrong, the work that I did mattered, right? I loved it, very
Absolutely.
mission oriented. You could see the fruit of the work that we did when you looked outside, right? The human services cluster, we sheltered people. We took care of folks who needed case management to get on the track to get jobs. I mean, we did a lot of great work. But at the end of the day, it's still someone else's agenda, and that agenda changes from administration to administration. And so I left, I started my own company, LMP Transformational Leadership Solutions, got contracts with local government entities, did some sub work for federal government, and still doing that work. And then also, I started another leg of my coaching business called Ignite Your Soft Girl Flow. And so that's where I started to incorporate the travel. But the travel came this year. And I'm super excited about what that is going to grow into. So I'm going to stop talking and let you ask the next question. But I just kind of wanted to lay the background for where I've come from and where I am now and where I'm going.
Absolutely. So, and that's super impressive, based on where you're coming from. And I'm sure there's many other trials and tribulations that came throughout that process you haven't touched on. But either way, where you have come to now from your background to becoming an entrepreneur, and not just an entrepreneur, I mean, you have found success. Like I said, you are securing your own contracts now. So any of you government agencies out there who, might need some of that type of work, make sure you look her up. But one of the things that I heard that you were working on, not too long after I met you, and I want you to share a little bit about this. There was an event you were doing in the Greenbelt area, uh,
Yes.
in the Greenbelt Community Center, where I know it was all about, for the most part, from what I understood, promoting entrepreneurship in the youth.
Yes.
And it was a platform for a lot of younger individuals to come and, promote whatever it is they were looking to build as far as businesses. And these were young kids. These weren't adults. And, it was, unfortunately, I had a class that I was already enrolled in and I couldn't make the event. But from what I could see, it was absolutely outstanding. Tell us a little bit about what that was, what that meant to you, and what's the next step as far as that's concerned.
Man, thank you for bringing that up. And so that was something that was dropped in my spirit. So we did this event, I believe it was July 12th. It was called Panelize This. And I partnered with Greenbelt Recreation, one of the coordinators there, recreation coordinators over there. He's so much more than a recreation coordinator. He is a mentor, an uncle figure, father figure for a lot of youth that come through there. And his name is Brian Butler. And I went to him with the vision, right? And he's like, whatever you need, you know, give me a proposal. I'll take it to my leadership, and we'll work with you. And he did. He did that. And they sponsored their event. And so the premise of the event was to get young people to focus on where they want to be within the next 4 to 5 years, right? What I found was that a lot of our youth were focused on what they see on social media. They're very influenced about the things that are causing distractions and getting sidetracked from what their purpose is in life and what they bring to the table and how they're going to feed themselves and their family in the future. And so the event brought together a group of dynamic experts in the field of AI. We had a dynamic young woman. She's also out of Brooklyn, New York. She now lives in Atlanta. She's a digital content creator. I mean, this young lady, she made what did she make? 40, 30 or $40,000 with one digital product in like 30 days. I mean, and so, we had someone there who talked to them about how to pick yourself up when you fall. What are you using as coping skills? How are you connecting with your higher self, your consciousness, and continuing to move forward even when you experience the obstacles in life? And so we did that portion of the event during the day. And then during the afternoon, we actually allowed the youth to have their own pop-up shop. And I mean, it was intended for youth between the ages of 19 and 31, but we had children there as young as, I want to say, 6 or 7. The youngest
Wow.
young lady, her name is Robin, she had desserts and she's a boss already. I mean, I remember I was standing at her table and I asked her, how can I pay? What payment methods do you take? And I believe it was her sister or even her mom. I don't know. It was one or the other. They said Cash App. They listed a few payment methods and she said cash. I want cash.
These kids are something else. But
And baby had her hands out. She wanted cash. And so we had another young girl who had jewelry, accessories, wallets, and things. Actually, two of the young girls. We had another young lady who had crochet items that she made. My sons were there. My daughter was there. Oh my God, they're going to get me if they see this. I have 3 sons, one daughter. And so
yeah, you in trouble. I already saw you in trouble.
And I normally start out, I'm a mom of 4 amazing children. But so my 3 sons, they have a company together called Stella Boys. And it's about working and being in excellence. And so they have a clothing line. They were exhibiting at the event. My daughter is a photographer as well as a flight attendant. So she exhibited her photos that she takes. She has a really good eye for angles and things like that. We had a young lady, she's a esthetician, and so she did like some waxing, like eyebrows and quick chin and things that you can do quickly. And there were others there, but it was just such an amazing event. Oh, we had an artist, we had an author. He sold out of his books, 21-year-old who talked about his journey. He lost his mom in middle school. It was just amazing. It was amazing. The connections that were made and the hope that was built, that they could come together as a young community and build something for their future. So it was very exciting. I was nervous about it because I had not worked with youth on that level before. And, my fear was, how do I connect with them? Right. But once we got in the room and got in the space, Spirit did his thing, and it unfolded really well. And so we're looking forward to collaborating with Greenbelt again next year. We'll be more prepared this time. We'll know what more of what our needs are. We'll have more sponsors. Yeah, so it's only going to get bigger and better. So I'm really excited about that. And the other thing was, since Greenbelt sponsored the event for us, they sponsored the space, and it was very little that we had to pay for. The youth that sold products and services got to keep 100% of their profit. They didn't have to pay for the space, didn't have to give a commission or anything like that. So it was very exciting. It was very
Awesome.
exciting. Yeah.
Awesome. No, yeah, and that's one of the ways reasons I wanted to bring that up. It kind of takes us into what we're going to talk about tonight, but it's a beautiful thing to get these kids started early
Yes.
uh, in the mind of entrepreneurship and support that. Because a lot of us, unfortunately, come from areas or backgrounds where the people around us would not support that. It's always, go to school, keep doing this, blah, blah, blah. But to support that entrepreneur mindset is amazing. So I'm actually looking forward to what you guys put together next year because I'm excited and I can't wait to support it. So all of you all out there who are watching this,
Yeah.
you keep a lookout for that thing next year because we want to make sure we are supporting these kids and keeping them on the right track and doing something positive
Yeah.
and something big for the future. So,
It, that's a good point, Tarek, because the goal also was to make sure they understood how to monetize their gifts.
mhm,
You have gifts, but the reality is you have to make money, right? And understanding that it's reciprocal. You're offering something and they're providing you commerce in return, right? And and that's okay. It's okay to get paid for what you do. And so that was a large part of it as well.
absolutely. You absolutely should get paid for
Yes.
what you do. And that's what we're getting ready to talk about tonight. Don't do something that you could get paid for doing and not
Right.
get paid for doing it. So, great transition right there, Miss Palmer. So listen, if we didn't pick up anything else from the first few minutes of this interview, you are absolutely a very busy individual. You're juggling quite a few hats. I know you said your kids are older, but parenting never stops, and you got four of them. You got a couple different career paths you're working through and building your own business and brand as well. What was it about this opportunity as it relates to travel and entertainment when you saw it or came across it for the first time? What was it that attracted it to you? And why did you decide to move forward and take advantage of it with all you have going on your plate right
Man, first of all, if I can be totally honest, I was very selfish about this opportunity.
now?
I wanted to make money back from my traveling.
Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that at all. Hey,
And
I'm with you.
so it's not like I hadn't heard it before, but it just hit a little different, right? It really appealed to me because I had begun to travel more in the past 4 years, maybe, than I'd ever traveled in my life. And that's because the children got older. I didn't have any more basketball games to run to, no more practices. I got a little bored.
Yep.
It's like, okay,
All
what
that.
to do with myself? And so it was actually one of my younger sisters who invited me to go with her on a trip to Aruba. And that was my first time out of the country. I had so much fun. I mean, it was such a transformational experience.
Say
I
it
said,
again.
oh, I got to do this for the rest of my life. Oh, I'm outside forever.
How about
That outside for me is important. What I didn't talk about was the cancer journey that I went on, just came through, totally clear. uh, but had multiple surgeries after the fact. I had at least 7 surgeries, right? And so I was down for a long time, still doing what I could, but not moving to, my capacity. And so once it was over and I started traveling, and it felt like a different type of freedom, you know, and a new take on life. And I told myself that I was just gonna live and max it out. I was just gonna max it out. And so I started traveling a lot. And we had gone on a cruise. I took the family on a cruise. No, this was a cruise with two of my aunts, and there were a bunch of travel agents on the cruise. It was a rack of them. And I was like, what is going on? And so they were talking about all of the free nights that they were getting and the discounts and things like that. And so I told one of my aunts, we need a travel agent in the family because we need to, work that angle. And so she was going to do it. She ended up not doing it. Then I had a godmother, my godmother, she was a travel agent, but it never really clicked for me to do it myself until I had a conversation with you. And it was
Mhm.
just like, oh, I could put this money in my pocket, right? And so, and then there are always people, especially the older people in your family, in your life, where you're doing things for them online. I mean, you're
Exactly.
already doing it. The kids, they're learning. My daughter, she's a flight attendant, so she can do it on her own. But my two younger sons, supporting them, learning that world and things like that. So it just made sense to me. It made sense for me. And I was very, very much excited about being able to get paid off of my travel. So that's what attracted me to it. What made me say yes was the ease of it, because I didn't need anything else to kind of add to what I was doing. Um, because then I couldn't really fully commit to be great at any one thing, right? And so, you know, and I get a little flustered easily. So I didn't need anything complicated or hard.
100%. I'm with you.
Yeah, so
100.
the ease of it um helped the yes, right? And then the other thing is I turned 50 in December.
No way.
And I said to myself that when I turned 50 that I was going to do life a different way. The things that I said no to because I felt like I couldn't do it, the heights that I wanted to reach were right beyond what I felt like I could see or do. And I was committed to pushing myself to do something different for the latter years of my life so that I could reach new heights and just live the life that I want to live. And so in looking at the presentation, it offered a lot, if I allowed myself to take advantage of it. And so that was another thing that made me say yes.
That's an absolutely amazing point you bring up because, it really is about options for people as you get older, and having the options and to be able to do different things or whatever it is you want to do. But, it requires some effort in some different areas and some growth. So,
Mhm.
which again, perfect segue to the next question here is what have you learned about yourself in these past few months, as it relates to this project in particular, that you cherish and value going forward?
That's a really good question. So, one of the things that I've learned about myself is that I can talk myself out of anything. And
There
I
we go.
had not always been aware of what I was capable of, right? And so the awareness of it is important, and allowing myself to kind of bypass my own ego and everything that I've been telling myself for the last however many years. And once I allowed myself to get past that, then I was able to have a different conversation with me. And when that different conversation settled in, it was like, oh, the world is yours. You know what I mean? Like it I allowed myself to shift my perspective. And so one of the things I'll share is that I've done businesses before, MLMs, um, before, right? And I've failed. Excuse me. It just didn't work, right? It just didn't work. And what I like about what I actually love about IntelliTravel, this travel business, is that you get the choice to either work on the vacation side or the business building side, or you can do both. And so that was a comfort for me. But then I realized, and this is what I learned about myself, is that I can thrive in my comfort zone and it still look great.
Mm,
And it still look great. And so I had to be accountable for stepping outside of my comfort zone. And the outside of my comfort zone was the business building piece. So those are a few things that I've learned about myself during this time.
absolutely.
And that self-reflection and that growth helped me to really propel forward.
Beautiful. And I can say just from having an opportunity to witness and watch you grow in that uncomfort, that discomfort, in that discomfort zone. Well, I won't take it away because the next question maybe you'll share that.
Okay.
What are you most proud of so far that you've accomplished as it relates to this particular business itself? I mean,
Ooh, that's a good one. There are a few things that I'm proud of.
so share
Uh,
them all. Write it down. Write it down.
One is helping me to get more organized.
All right.
That is huge for me. That is so because there, I function in two parts of my brain, or the both sides of my brain all the time with procurement, and then there's my creative side, right? But my creative side is she, she be out in the stars. And so I have the vision, I know what I want. But when it comes down to the tactical, you know what I mean, and the day-to-day operational things, I, I have some weak spots there. And so this has really challenged me to get myself in order so that I can be successful. So I'm really proud of that. The other thing I'm proud of is that I'm sticking with it. Like
Hey, that's fair. That's
you know what
fair.
I mean? Like there are things that I've started, hadn't completed, or hadn't given myself an opportunity to grow fully into, to see what was actually possible. So even though I had the slow start, I still, I told myself that I was committed to it and that I was going to keep pushing forward and I was going to make the most of it. And that's what I'm doing. The other thing that I'm proud of is actually starting on the business building side. And it wasn't what I thought it was going to be, right? I was all nervous and stuff. And you and Thomas actually just really helped me simplify things. And I'm going to step off track for a moment. I went through a rites of passage program recently. And in that rites of passage program, we all received a principal, and we were called by our principal. That was our name. And my principle was simplicity.
Oh,
My
oh.
principle was simplicity, and I can write a whole book on what that meant for me. But what I'll share in this setting is that I had to learn how to decomplicate things in my mind.
Hey, this is good. This is
Yeah,
real for a lot
yeah,
of people, I'm
because
sure.
I complicate just about every daggone thing. And I feel like I'm wired that way, but it's not something that I can't unwire. You know what I mean? And reprogram.
Hmm.
And so that principle helped me because I had to meditate on it. I mean, there was a lot that we had to do to understand why we chose that principle. And but bringing it back to this, I had to learn how to look at things simply. What is the acronym KISS? Keep it simple, stupid, right? And so I just tell myself to keep it simple. And you and Thomas helped make it simple, right? It's a conversation. It's really opening up an opportunity for someone where, they may not have been exposed to it before. And the way I was originally looking at it was that I'm beating down somebody's door, somebody's text messages, trying to get them in the business, and they may not be interested, and I become a nag and things like that. And so I really had to sit with that. I had to pray on it, I had to meditate on it. And in my transformative journey, I had to understand the value of service and understanding that this is a part of how I serve, you know, and offering an opportunity to someone is just that. They can take it or they can leave it. There's no judgment. If it works for you, it works for you. If it doesn't, then it doesn't, and it's okay. But who am I to withhold information that could possibly change somebody's life?
Come on with it. Come on with it.
Who am I, right? And so if I'm not here to serve, then what am I here to do? If it was
Amen.
something that helped me, one of my teachers, Jan Van Zandt, she says, if it's in the seat, then it's in the room. So if it's something that supported me, then someone else in the room may need it as well.
Exactly.
So that's how I started looking at it. And that transformation was a blessing. I mean, um, I have two sisters on my team now, and they both want to plan like family gatherings, retreats, girl trips, and they're focused on creating positive experiences for other people. That's transformation, right? Because when you step out of your immediate atmosphere or environment into a space that is amplifying beauty, love, luxury, nature, that is transformation. And so that's the business that I'm in. And this is another way to do that.
Man, those are some gold nuggets you just dropped, and you dropped a lot of them. I'm going to have to go back and watch this a few times and just kind of retake all this in because, those were some amazing points. And if I could bring a couple of them forward again, simplicity is big. A lot of people tend to overcomplicate things. And I was able to witness and watch you, like I said, step into this area, which is very uncomfortable for you. And very quickly you thrived.
Mm,
And very quickly you were able to make some things happen just by keeping it simple. And the mindset that you just talked about was coming from a place of service and sharing and let it be whatever it is. We're not here to twist arms, convince, this sell. No, I'm sharing some information with you that if you let it, it could be life changing. If you don't want it, it's okay. I did my part by offering it to you. That's all it really comes down to. And by doing that, you're already starting to see some things happen and on your way to becoming a major, major player, not just with this opportunity, but in the industry as a whole. I'm telling you, Latalya, you may not know it yet,
mm-hmm.
but you are on your way to accomplish some major, major things. So, with that being said, and again, those were some amazing nuggets. I knew this was going to be special. I was not shocked at all. But that being said, what are you most excited about in the future? Looking at where you've come from, the steps you've taken thus far, having a feel for knowing that there's some things you can do that you weren't really sure you could do prior to. What are you most excited about in the future as it relates to this business?
I'm excited about the transformation on my life and the transformation in the lives of others. Like I talked a little bit about, where I've come from and where I am now. The battle that I went through with cancer, not knowing whether or not I was going to wake up the next morning. You know what I mean? And so I've seen a lot of lows and I've seen a lot of changes occur in my life. Um, Living in the projects to buying my own home, you know, things that I just didn't know or believe initially that could happen. And so I know that change and transformation is real. Um, and I've practiced manifestation, right? But now it's time to bring those skill sets into this, right? Into this opportunity. And it kind of just took for me to focus in. on what this is and what I'm doing and how to do it and simplify it. Um, but I know it's gonna be a change. Like I just know that I'm gonna have a waterfront house, right? I see the things that I'm going to have as a result of being a part of this opportunity. And I see that it's going to impact the lives of others as they come along as well. Um, and I think it was, I don't know, either Thomas or Preston that said there's no limit with this. There's no cap on it. There's like as hard as you work it is what you want to get out of it. You know what I mean? And so I'm looking forward to that growth in my life looking, excuse me, ridiculously different next year. Like I'm just excited about that. Like I feel it in my bones. I mean, and when I get that feeling, and I know it's on and popping. I
Absolutely.
know it's
Absolutely. I mean,
popping.
good.
So the more I grow in it, the more I learn. Another thing that you guys shared on one of our team meetings was that, you come into opportunities and you don't study it, right? You don't take time to get better at it. If you were in school, if you were in college, you would study for a test. If you were at work, there are those introductory trainings that you have to take in order to support you in fulfilling the expectations at your job, right? And so take that and that level of mastery that you bring to other areas of your life into the business opportunity, learn it, right, and be the product, you know what I'm saying? And so that's the phase that I'm moving into, so that I can embody certain things, and I know that it's going to come into fruition. What's within has to come without. And so that's where I'm moving. And I look forward to bringing people with me, because it's not just a hustle for me. You know what I mean? I'm moving out of that hustle phase of my life. One, because I can't take the stress. Health-wise, the
Hmm.
stress, it will set me back.
Hmm.
And so I've been, I don't like using the word force, but I've been put in a position where I have the opportunity to learn to live with minimum stress, to take
Hmm.
the pressure off of myself and do things differently.
Yes.
And so this is not about hustling, burning yourself out, going crazy, trying to make it happen. It's about learning how to do it in a way that's going to help bring you ease and grace in the moment and attract people to you who's going to do things the same way. And so we set intentions, we set goals, and we work in alignment with that.
Absolutely. And like I said, you're doing an amazing job of attracting the right people. And I think, again, that's another great point. I mean, as we get older, we're Generation Xers. It's not a matter of being forced. I mean, it's just time to, eliminate as much stress as possible in our life and look for ways to enjoy ourselves, sit back and, have a good time. But like you said, make sure we're taking care of business as well.
Yeah.
Um, so as we wrap up here, I just want to say to the
It's
folks that
almost
are
over.
following,
God, I'm just
say
getting excited.
yeah, we gotta let the good people go. But it's as we wrap up, I would just say to to your followers, I mean, maybe I don't know if this is the first time on this platform they get a chance to see you speak on this to this level. And they're in for a treat. If they haven't watched yet, they're definitely in for a treat, because like I said, I mean, some of the things you've shared tonight and the way you speak on those things, are coming from a professional level in terms of, the impact and how you laid it out, because that is the basics of what we do. And I couldn't state it any better. So the final question I'll ask for you here is, for the person now who's just kind of watching this right now from the background, for example. Maybe they are watching the live, but they didn't click into the live so that we can know that they were there, but they're watching,
Okay.
so, and they're just kind of in the background trying to check around and see what's going on, trying to figure it out. Should I get the information? Should I not?
Mhm.
What would you say or what would you suggest to that person who's just kind of, you know, feeling around a little bit, not really quite sure?
The information is free. I mean, if it's something that resonated with you, the information is free. If we think about not only where we've come from, but from where our people have come from, information wasn't always available or free.
Absolutely not.
And so, if you have the opportunity to check out something that could possibly save you some money, make you some money, have fun, be with great people, travel more to experience more of life, get the information. Doesn't cost you anything but a little bit of time. And we spend that time just scrolling on our phone, right?
Exactly.
I mean, you I know y'all know if y'all watch it. I know y'all know once you hit Instagram, once you hit TikTok, it's a wrap. Like,
Mhm.
and before you know it, and a half hour has passed, an hour has passed, right? And so, be more intentional about your time, and check out the information that could possibly allow you to do more scrolling, right? Later on, you know what I'm saying? So I would just say, one, go ahead and get the information. It's not going to hurt, harm anyone. Secondly, if you have questions, ask the questions. More often than not, we stay stuck because we're trying to figure it out ourselves and we're getting in our own way. You can come out of that. There's a safe space for you to ask the question. People will not harass you, hound you down, unless you show that you're interested and you want someone to follow up. That will happen, right? But it will be invited.
Exactly. It's only invited. It's just it.
It's only
100%.
invited.
We're looking
Um,
for the people who are looking. That's it.
yeah. So get the information, ask the questions, and trust yourself enough to make a decision that is going to benefit you and your family. That's
Beautiful.
what I would say. And lastly, I would also say, if you want to do it and you're nervous or you're scared, explore what that is for you. What is that fear? What is that nervousness, right? Um, and speak it out. Talk to somebody, because it may just be something that, like me, I had some misperceptions about. I had some limited beliefs around. And it may just take a conversation that will help shift your mindset and help you make a choice that's best for you, as opposed to making choices out of fear, and staying stuck because of fear. So that's what I would say to the person that is just looking and may not want to put their big toe in the water.
Put that big toe. Stop playing.
Come on and
Awesome.
put in.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, Miss Palmer, I truly, truly, truly appreciate your time this evening. I know you could be anywhere else in the world tonight, but you chose to give this 30, 45 minutes to me and us on this platform. We thank you for being our very first guest on Travel Talk and Show Jams. It was a special one, folks. This will be one for the history books for sure. And I would like to say to the people who are watching from your following, if you didn't understand or get anything from this talk tonight, and you have a very special and incredible individual who you have been following, you may not even know it yet, but I'm sure you know now. So get with her and get the details on what she's doing and all of her projects, but this one especially. Or you can comment below 411, or go in our DMs, whatever's easiest for you. Reach out, get your questions answered, have those conversations. Like she said, it doesn't cost you anything to get those details, but it could. I'm telling you, folks, it could literally cost you thousands on top of thousands to not get it. And if
Mm.
you're someone that could capitalize and position yourself, folks. So, with that, ladies and gentlemen, we thank you all for your time. Have an amazing rest of your Monday and amazing rest of your week. And we will be back here next week with the new guest for Travel Talk and Show Jams. Have a great evening, folks.